swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Could you please state your first and last name and spell both?
Taylor Nehls, Taylor. Nehls is Nehls.
How are you employed?
I'm employed as a lieutenant with the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you worked with the Dodge County Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 12 years and 10 months.
And what is your current assignment?
I'm currently assigned as the lieutenant of the Criminal Investigations Division within the Sheriff's Office.
And what does that mean? The lieutenant of the criminal.
My position, I oversee all the detectives within the agency as well as our county's multi-jurisdictional drug task force.
And were you working in that position in June of 2024?
Yes, I was.
And at some point in June of 2024, did your division receive basically a referral from patrol regarding a missing adult female?
Yes.
And who was that missing adult female?
Taylor Rasch.
And when did you receive that information?
I received that information and reviewed it on June 25th, 2024.
And what happened when you received that information?
When I received that information, with the information that was given to us, I knew that we needed to look into the matter further. From that point, I instructed Detective Cotney and Detective Rolfs to follow up with Taylor Rasch's family in Kleiman.
And just very generally, what information, I guess let me ask it this way. When they followed up with the family in Kleiman, did the detectives in the sheriff's office believe that additional investigation was necessary?
Yes, they made it clear to me that they were very worried about Taylor Rasch's well-being and felt that we needed to look into this quickly.
And so then what, if any, next steps did you take?
So at that point, I had a briefing with our administration team at the sheriff's office, which would have included the sheriff and the chief deputy, and informed them that I wanted to bring back our detectives within the division to come back and begin working this case to see if we can identify where Taylor Rasch was.
Okay. Did you do anything with respect to Crystal's phone specifically?
Yes, when I received this information, I believe that she was a missing and endangered person and that her life may be in harm. I requested our communications division to do emergency phone pings on the 2 phone numbers that we had on record for Taylor Rasch.
And what does that mean, an emergency phone ping?
If we can identify a phone number as well as a cell provider, those cell providers can provide us updated ping locations where those devices might be and when the last time those devices may have been used or connected with the network.
And what does that mean, ping?
Phone pings, I'm not an expert on them, but we have cell towers within the area, phone pings to communicate, to make phone calls, text messages, to have data. You have to be able to connect to a tower if you're not within Wi-Fi.
And when we say emergency, what types of circumstances constitute an emergency?
In this case specifically is that we had a missing endangered person whose family believed that she was missing and have not heard from her.
And so does the cell phone company typically provide you that information immediately?
It typically comes in pretty quick when we request an emergency ping.
Do you have to write some sort of document for that, a letter, something else?
Our communications division fills out what's called an exigency form to provide the cell phone provider, which they would have done in the situation. They either email or fax that emergency order to the cell phone company, and they will either reply with the data that we're requesting, or in very limited circumstances, they might deny it.
In this case, did we have Crystal's cell phone number from her family?
Yes, we had 2 cell phone numbers for her.
And were we able to determine then who the cell phone provider was?
Yes, both phone numbers were through the provider of Verizon.
Did we did write that emergency request to Verizon, correct?
That is correct.
And did they give us the information or did they deny it?
They provided us the information that we requested.
And did the sheriff's office in some way memorialize that information provided to us through Verizon?
Yes, what our communications division does when they receive a response for that, they typically enter it in our call notes within our CAD system, and that is where I learned the information of the phone pings that were provided.
And I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 7. And can you tell me what that is, please?
This is a snapshot of our CAD screen. Our CAD screen is what we use to communicate with dispatch and also enter notes onto calls so that people are able to see live updates of what's going on in the case.
Okay. And then I would move that into evidence.
No objection.
And permission to publish.
It is received, you can publish.
Yes.
And you're using the same camera or same?
Yes. All right, so happening on 1. Hopefully it happens on the.
There you go.
And if we can just get the lights again, please, Judge. Hopefully that will. And if we could just zoom in a little bit to that. So starting there at the top, can you just go through what this means, what this information is?
I'll start on the top highlighted line. What you'll see is every time a note is entered into our CAD system, it's going to timestamp and date when that note was entered. You'll see a name on the right of that, of a last name Schaefer.
Is that right here where the pointer is?
Correct.
Okay.
Who was the dispatcher who had entered this information into the CAD call. On the next line, you'll see 109 requested 2 phone pings to those 2 phone numbers. 109 is me, that is my badge number, and that is how we identify the officers within our agency.
And so then we have the next 2 lines, we have, is it fair to say both of those phone numbers, correct?
Correct. Those are the 2 phone numbers that were provided to us that we knew belonged to Crystal Rasch.
Okay. And then just walk us through the rest of this report, the top of this report here.
So our communications division contacted Verizon to do the pings at approximately 4:36 p.m. on June 25th. As you can see, the exigency form that we had discussed earlier was faxed to Verizon, and Verizon said that they would give us updates on our request.
And then if we can zoom out and go to the bottom, please. So now going to the bottom, starting with the line, so 17:20:58. Tell me what that is in non-military time, please.
Okay, so at 5:20 p.m. on June 25th, dispatch had received information from Verizon that the phone number ending in 3490 last had a tower ping on June 8th, where there was some data activity at the cell tower at N5204 County Highway W, Juneau, Wisconsin, which is a tower located just south of the city of Juneau.
And at this point, did you know where Crystal Rasch resided?
Yes,
And where did she reside?
in Kleiman.
And so would that tower be in close proximity to her residence?
Yes, it would.
Are you aware of whether or not there were other Verizon towers closer to her residence?
I cannot speak for certain on where the other towers would be.
So going to let's see, we were at this 1720 line, so the June 8th, and then the next, so 1723, so 523, we received information. What was the information that we received there?
That Verizon had gone back a month and there was no phone call made from the telephone with the phone number ending in 3490.
And that was the data. So talk about the difference between a phone call and data.
So your phones are always connecting with networks, cell phone towers. That's how your phone stays connected so people can call and send you messages. So the phone providers are able to determine if your phone is connecting to a tower in a data session, that your phone's connected, but they can identify if you're receiving text messages or phone calls or vice versa by sending them out.
And I know you're not a digital forensics expert or anything like that, but based on your training and experience and the investigations that you have done, data sessions, sometimes does that mean that the person's even using the phone?
Not necessarily.
Phone call, typically, is that usually indicative that the person is using the phone?
I would say yes.
So then going to, if we can just scroll down even more past, so we left off at 1723 here, so that number ending in 3490, there was no calls, and then going to information that we received about a minute later, what other information did we learn about that number ending in 3490?
Verizon had informed us that there was one text message on May 28th. However, the content of that text message is gone, and you weren't able to see what it said.
And then going on to 1729 and 28 seconds, so 529, what information did we receive for Verizon with respect to the number ending in 8225?
Verizon had informed us that the phone number ending in 8225 had last activity on June 17th at the same tower location, which would have been the County Highway W Tower south of Juneau.
Okay. And again, Crystal was living at that, in the town of, the village of Kleiman, correct?
Correct.
And at this point, on June 25th, at about 5:30, did we know anything about a spouse or anybody else that Crystal may have been in contact with? Did we know whether or not she had a husband?
I knew that she was currently in a marriage.
And who was she married to?
Zachariah Rasch.
And where was his residence?
On Wood Road, which is in the town of Kleiman.
And approximately how far away is that from from Crystal's residence and the village of Kleiman?
If I had to put an estimate on it, I would say 3 to 5 miles.
And how far away would that be from this address on so this tower on W and Juneau?
The tower in Juneau from Zachariah Rasch's residence on Wood Road is approximately 5 miles.
Okay. So then the last entry here on 1732 and 8 seconds, what information did we learn from Verizon about that 8225 number with respect to phone call?
So Verizon informed us that on June 10th at approximately 10:55 a.m. there was a phone call made from the 8225 number to a phone number 262-719-5968, and then that phone call had hit a tower on Highway 13 near Adams, Wisconsin.
And Adams, Wisconsin, where is that located?
That would be northwest of Dodge County.
And is that in close proximity to any popular tourist location?
The Dells is a popular tourist location.
Okay. And at this point in the investigation, did that mean anything to us, that location?
Yes, we had information that she was in the Dells with Zachariah Rasch.
So that phone call, did we later, or did you later make any determination who that phone call was, who she called?
Yes, I did follow up with that phone number that was contacted, and it was Crystal Rasch's attorney in regard to a civil case from a car accident that she was involved in.
And did you, so I'm just going to need to take a moment here. We did not finish marking these, unless you just,
So I just, it's all one.
okay, that's
And then
fine.
this, all these photos are gonna be 13, but we numbered all the pages.
We marked that large exhibit as.
If we could just go author.
So where do we start? 51 to 57.
Put a page number on all of the.
So these are different, surveillance footage.
Are you running through all of this with the same numbers? You refer to it as, what is it?
That big packet is 13.
13, page 1, 13, page 2, 13, page 3.
That's how the court, I mean, I was gonna do it as a separate exhibit, for all of them, but.
It's becoming very cumbersome, but it's just, if you just,
It's just some of these exhibits we might refer to exhibit 17 with different things.
to use on, okay. So, you want to mark each one of those pages individually?
So the good road surveillance, one exhibit is fine, but then starting.
All right, folks, we have some housekeeping to do, so we will take a morning break. You'll have, we'll take 15 minutes. Remind you, you're under oath, you recall that?
I do.
All right, before we bring in the jury, anything?
No, we're all marked and ready to go.
Just
Fantastic,
to address the issue at the next break, Your Honor, with regards to
fantastic. All right, bring in the jury, please. Attorney Will.
Thank you, Judge. If we could have the projector back on too, on the state's computer, and the First Bank of Lights off. Now, Detective, when we left off at the break, we were talking about the last ping on Crystal Rasch's phone call, and that pinged to a property up in Adams County near the Dells, correct?
I pinged on a tower on Highway 13 in Adams County.
And the any other information on June 25th that you obtained regarding Crystal Rasch's phone information?
Are you referring to the phone number that she had contacted?
I just wanted to make sure that we covered everything and that, Kat, that there was no other information about her phone that you developed on the 25th.
Not that I can recall.
So what other information did you or other detectives attempt to locate with respect to Crystal Rasch to determine her whereabouts?
So what I did is we were informed that she has banking at the Bank of Lake Mills, and to try to determine where her whereabouts might be, I contacted the emergency contact at the Bank of Lake Mills to see if they could provide some financial records that could potentially lead to her whereabouts.
And how did you know that she banked at the Bank of Lake Mills?
We received that information from, I believe, a friend of hers that informed us that she did banking at the Bank of Lake Mills, and that's how I developed to contact them.
And then when you contacted, and I just wanted to confirm, Judge, that you're attempting to switch over to our computer.
It doesn't appear that there's a signal coming through.
Good. Glad to hear that. Someone could problem solve that, please, for me. When you contacted the person at the Bank of Lake Mills, did they confirm that she, in fact, had an account there?
Yes, she asked that I provide her a letterhead from the Dodge County Sheriff's Office with the exigent information that I was requesting from them, which I did, and in turn she did provide me bank records for the month of June for Crystal Rasch's account.
And once you got those bank records for the month of June, was something done with those bank records to continue the investigation?
Yes, I sorted through the bank records and the different transactions that were occurring during the month of June, during the time frame that we believe that she went missing. And there was numerous transactions that were located on those bank records. From there, I assigned numerous detectives and deputies within our office to go to the specific locations and attempt to locate any video surveillance of those transactions.
So first, I'm going to show you Exhibits 8, 9, 10, and 11. And just for the record, Exhibit 11 is a 6-page document. And do you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I do.
And what are those exhibits?
So a portion of these exhibits are the bank records that were provided to me by the Bank of Lake Mills that show the transactions during the month of June, specifically from June 2nd to June 24th on Crystal Rasch's bank account.
And then I believe it's 7 through 9, correct? The first 3 documents that I gave you, are those numbers right?
It'd be 8 through 10.
8 through 10, thank you. What are those documents?
These are screenshots of maps that identify points of interest. Some of those points of interest being transactions that occurred at various businesses within Watertown, Beaver Dam, and then and then a general overview of a larger area.
So permission to publish, or I'm sorry, I will move in those exhibits into evidence, please, and then permission to publish them to the jury.
Any objection?
Just so we can keep our records clear, can you please identify out of 8 through 10, which one is 8, which one is 9, and which one is 10?
Exhibit number 8 would be the business locations of a larger overview.
Okay, thank you.
Exhibit number 9 is going to be a zoomed in map of business locations and transactions by Watertown.
Thank you.
And exhibit 10 is going to be a closer overview of transactions near the city of Beaver Dam.
Appreciate it. I don't have any objections to any of those.
They will be received, and permission to publish is granted.
And if the court could, the lights,
Got it.
please. So I'm going to just start here with this. What are we looking here on this exhibit?
So this is a exhibit that's pretty zoomed out, that kind of shows an overview of all the transactions that were captured.
Okay, and these are all the transactions on Crystal Rasch's banking records, is that correct?
The icons that are in red will be transactions from Crystal Rasch's account. The icons that are in yellow would be transactions that were obtained for Zach Rasch's accounts.
Okay,
And then the green boxes are locations of interest, like the residence on Wood Road, and then the Adams County property, I believe.
is that right up here? Is that right? Up the 9th Avenue?
Yes, I believe that's
The laser
it.
pointer is, and I think not on this map, but Crystal Rasch's residence at the time, is it accurate that it's about where the laser pointer is?
It's not going to be quite that far. I would say it's probably right underneath the 5 in the fire number.
Okay, so even closer.
Yeah.
So right there.
Yes.
So for, is there a major highway that basically runs between the two residences?
Yes. State Highway 26 runs north and south, and Wood Road address would be on the west side of State Highway 26, and the Crystal Rasch's address in Klamath would be on the east side.
Okay. So then moving to Exhibit 9. Up or down? No, can you just move it, please? What are we looking at here?
These are going to show numerous transactions within the area of Watertown that were on Crystal Rasch's accounts.
And so these are all in red, correct?
That is affirmative.
And then the Exhibit 10. What are we seeing here on this exhibit?
These are transactions that occurred near the city of Beaver Dam on Crystal Rasch's account, but then it also has, I believe, some deposits that were identified through Zach Rasch's accounts on the south side by the Chase Bank ATM, which is marked in yellow.
So now we're going to move to Exhibit 11. There we go. So what are we looking at here on Exhibit 11?
So this is the printout of the transactional report that the Bank of Lake Mills had provided to me, and it shows the debits and transactions that occurred on Crystal Rasch's debit card, which ends in 8942.
And so if we could just zoom in to the first few transactions there. It's fine, right at the top. These transactions, so this first page here, this is, what dates are represented here on this first page?
The first transaction has a date representation of June 2nd, 2024.
And then ending
On June 3rd, 2024.
Were these directly related to the investigation of her missing?
Well, I mean, we looked at them, but we didn't believe that this was the dates of interest that we were concerned of.
Okay, and what was the beginning balance then? If we could just zoom out a little bit here. What was the beginning balance? I'll go to the next page. Of her accounts, June 10th. So if we look right in the middle of the page there, if we can zoom in.
On June 10th, it shows a beginning balance of $8,110.14.
So, and that's right here on this side. So this transaction, June 10th, 1:18 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And so starting on June 11th, what is that first transaction that we see?
That is a transaction at the Goodwill store in Oconomowoc for a total of $13.81.
Okay. This next transaction here, what date is that?
Can you point to that? Are you talking to the next one down?
Yes.
The next one is on June 11th at 10:31 p.m.
I'm just going to stand back here, make sure I can see. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more.
I'm good. I can see it now.
I just want to make sure that everyone can see. So sorry, and then repeat that for me. So the June 10th at 10:31, what was that transaction?
June 11th at 10:31?
Yes.
June 11th at 10:31, that is an ATM withdrawal for $200 at the Quick Trip located here in Juneau.
And then we have something here at 11:11 on June 11th. Do you know what that is?
I do not know why those transactions would show on the account without any dollar amount listed.
Okay. And then we'll go to the next slide. So I think we have to zoom out. And then we'll zoom back in here, starting at the top of the screen. So June 12th at 8:41 a.m. It looks like several entries for some transaction in Moline, Illinois. Are you aware what that transaction is? It looks like the very last one is $1,500.
I believe that is a payment that was made to either pay for a vehicle loan or to pay off a lien.
A vehicle loan for Crystal Rasch's vehicle or something else?
No, it would be for Zach Rasch's vehicle.
Okay. And then, do you know which vehicle it was, or did another detective investigate that issue?
Another detective would have investigated that.
Okay. So then going to June 12th at 11:11 p.m. So same time as that June 11th, but it looks like 24 hours later, we have that Capital One transaction again for how much this time?
$112.
Okay. And do you, at this point, know what that is, or did other detectives investigate that?
Other detectives would have looked into that.
Okay. So then going down to June 14th at 11:27 p.m., what is this transaction here?
That shows a $200 withdrawal from Crystal Rasch's bank accounts, and that would have occurred at a Quick Trip located in Watertown.
And reminds me, on June 11th, or June 10th, our balance was $8,100 about, is that correct?
Is it okay if I confirm?
Yes.
On June 10th, it showed a balance of $8,110.
So now on June 14th at 11:27 p.m., what's our balance on the account?
$6,084.33.
So now going to the next day, June 15th at 9 a.m., what is this transaction?
It shows some type of transaction, but no money being withdrawn at Rock Auto in Madison.
Okay. And then same thing, June 15th at 9 a.m.
It shows some other type of activity on the account, but no money being withdrawn at that time.
Okay, and the type of transaction here for the June 15th at 9 a.m., what company is that?
It states that it's Google.
Then June 15th at 4:57 p.m., what is this transaction here, if you know?
That is a transaction for $205.33 at 121 Francis Lane, which is the Menards in Beaver Dam.
Menards, okay. So now we'll go to the next page. It looks like we have a transaction at 6:15 at 5:23 p.m. for $174.05. So if we can now go to page 4, and then we'll zoom in at the very top, starting at the very top. So what location was that $174 transaction?
That is near the strip mall in the city of Beaver Dam, which I believe is the Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight, okay. Then the next, June 15th at 9 a.m. Looks like, where is this transaction?
That is a transaction that occurred at a business in Madison
And where is that business located?
on Normandy Lane.
And are you aware of what that transaction was?
I am not.
But what was the amount of that transaction?
$150.02.
Okay. So the next line now, June 16th at 2:24 p.m.
That shows a transaction in Watertown for $25.30.
And do we know what, there's not a location listed here, correct?
Correct.
So do you know what that transaction was for at this point, or did another?
That would have been investigated by somebody else.
Okay. Then going down to June 16th at 2:41 p.m.
That shows a transaction at 401 Bernard Street in the city of Watertown for the amount of $54.82.
And do you know what's at 401 Bernard Street?
I believe it might, I'd have to look at my map.
Yeah. And then going to, and we'll go back to that in just a moment. We'll finish this page here. The June 16th at 3:24 p.m. What do we have here?
We have a $123.50 charge at the Walmart in Watertown.
Okay. And then, so let's go back to the Exhibit 9, the Watertown.
You have my maps.
I'm asking my trusty assistant here. And if we could, the Watertown map. You just, yep. And then if we could just zoom in. There, does this refresh your memory what was on Bernard? If not, that was also investigated by another detective.
Correct.
Is that correct? So going back to the transaction history starting, so page 4, starting with the June 18th at 6:46 a.m. Right here, what do we have here?
Can you point to which one?
June 16th at 6:46 a.m.
So it'll be June 18th
Did I say 16th? I'm sorry, it's the 18th. Yes, thank you.
at 7:46 a.m. shows a $200 withdrawal at 2006 North Spring Street in Beaver Dam, and I know that to be a Quick Trip.
Thank you for correcting me. And then June 18th at 8:51 a.m., what do we have, what kind of transaction do we have here?
We show a transaction associated with Beaver Dam for $203.22.
And so do you know what that transaction is, or did another person investigate that transaction?
I believe another detective would have looked into that transaction as well.
Okay. Then moving down to June 18th, 9:41 a.m. What do we have? What kind of transaction do we have there?
That is a $299.62 transaction that occurred at the Walmart in Beaver Dam.
And so what's our balance on the account now, June 18th?
$4,648.47.
So next transaction on the 19th, what do we have here at 2:45 a.m.?
They show to be some type of transaction occurring, but no money being shown to ADT Security.
Okay. And then on June 19th at 7:21 a.m.
That shows some type of transaction at the DMV in Watertown, but
and-
no money being transferred at that time.
Thank you. And then June 19th at 8:08 a.m.
That shows a transaction of $148.60 at the Walmart in Watertown.
Okay. June 19th, 3:15 p.m. We'll go on to page 5. We can just zoom in to the top there. It looks like, again, we have that what transaction is that?
It shows Rock Auto in Madison, but no money being shown to be transferred at that time.
Okay. The next line, another ADT for $0, correct?
That is correct.
And then on 6/20, what?
That shows another transaction somewhere within Watertown for $33.68.
Okay. On 6/20 at 10:17 a.m.
That shows a transaction of $105.49 at 1107 South Church Street in Watertown.
Do you know what business that is? If you don't recall.
I don't recall.
That's okay. Then June 20th at 10:30 a.m.
That shows a $200 transaction at 900 West Main Street in Watertown, which is a Quick Trip.
And how, did you say that's for $200?
Yes.
Correct. And then scrolling down the page further, looks like we have a transaction on June 20th at what time?
At 10:31 a.m.
And what's the location of that transaction?
That is also a Quick Trip, but not showing any money to be withdrawn with that transaction
Okay.
listing.
And then on, it looks like now we have a couple of June 19th transactions that pop up at 3:15 p.m. At 6418 Normandy Lane. What's the amount for that transaction?
$163.29.
And again, I think that's a business that you did not know what business that was in Madison, correct?
That is correct.
And then on June 19th at 7:21 a.m., 3rd Street in Watertown. Do you recall what business that is?
I believe that is the DMV.
And what was the amount for that transaction?
$326.91.
And then looks like the next two on June 19th and June 20th are for ADT. What are the amount of, are those transactions?
The first one is for $31.64, and the second one is for $11.18.
And then moving down the sheet, please. The last transaction on this sheet on June 22nd at 5:55 p.m. What business is that transaction?
That would be at the Menards located in Johnson's Creek for the amount of $28.81.
Okay. And then, so we do have, sorry, before we move on to the next page, we do have a transaction on June 22nd at 6:18 PM for $0. So now we'll move on to page 6. Zooming in here, it was for $0, but what location was that at?
The Watertown Tobacco Plus.
Okay, and then June 22nd at 6:43 PM, next transaction.
That shows a transaction of $171.67 at the Walmart located in Watertown.
June 23rd at 11:26 AM.
That shows a transaction of $137.23 at a location in Beaver Dam.
And then do you know what this transaction is here, this one at 11:26 AM?
Don't at this time.
June 23rd at 11:49 AM.
That shows a $200 transaction at 2006 North Spring Street in the city of Beaver Dam, which I know is a Quick Trip.
And then June 23rd at 12:35 PM.
That shows a transaction for $68.50 at the Menards in Beaver Dam located at 121 Francis Lane.
And so on June 23rd, what is our ending balance?
$2,907.75.
And then so we have another transaction here that sort of popped up out of order on the 22nd of June at 6:18 PM. What was the address of that transaction?
1907 Market Way in the city of Watertown.
And what's the amount of that transaction?
$63.72.
And do you know what business that is?
Not specifically.
Okay. And so through the course of this investigation, was there video surveillance that was collected?
Yes, when I received this transactional reports, I had assigned out numerous detectives and deputies to go to these specific locations to look for surveillance of the specific times and dates of the transactions.
And was one of those, I guess he was an acting detective at that time, was one of those people, Detective David Trevarthen?
Yes.
And so did he collect a lot of video surveillance?
Yes.
And prior to your testimony here, did you then go back and review all of the video surveillance that he reviewed and collected?
Yes, I did.
Because he's not available to be here to testify this week, correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to start with exhibit number 12. And this is just a screenshot from that surveillance, but can you tell me what that video surveillance would be?
The surveillance signifies a transaction that was located from June 11th, 2024 at approximately 10:32 a.m. at the Culvers located in Oconomowoc.
Now, was that Culver's transaction in Crystal Rasch's bank records?
No.
But video surveillance that throughout the course of the investigation we found to be relevant, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll zoom out of that, please. I would move exhibit 11 into evidence and permission to publish that to the jury.
No objection. I'm sorry, Judge, no objection.
Thank you. Received.
Okay,
You can publish.
okay. And then we'll go ahead, so don't start playing it yet. So this is the same that you see, we're on 15, correct? Is that what number?
12.
12, thank you. And this is video surveillance from June 11th, 2012, correct? And at
2024.
2020, thank you. At what time?
10:22 a.m.
Thank you. And so on the top of this side, it says 10:22. If you can see on your exhibit or on the video surveillance, there's a different time reflected in the video. Was there any investigation done to see if Culver's video surveillance was accurate time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I'm just going to stop this for a moment. This is a clip. Who do we see in this clip?
You can see Zachariah Rasch standing in front of the register, and directly behind him in this frame, walking towards him, would be Crystal Rasch.
And so I stopped that at what the timestamp on the Culver's video, 10:26 and 53 seconds. Continuing to play. So I'm going to pause that at what is 10:28 and 58 seconds in the video. Who does it appear paid for that transaction?
It appears that Zach Rasch would have paid for that.
And what shirt is Zach Rasch wearing in this video surveillance?
He's wearing a black T-shirt that appears to be a Chevy Silverado T-shirt.
And if you can tell, what type of shirt is Crystal Rasch wearing?
She was wearing a black hoodie, which I believe has some insignia on it indicating the Wisconsin Dells.
And does it appear as though she's wearing a purse or a bag or something in this video?
I believe she has a small bag or purse on.
Okay. And I'm just going to play just the end of this, starting at 3 minutes and 26 seconds. And that's the end of the video at 10:31 and 3 seconds, according to the video timestamp. At that very end, what could you see the two of them doing?
Appears that they're walking away from the register with their drinks.
And could you see the back of Crystal's sweatshirt as well?
Yes, it's hard to see from back here what it shows, but
The next video surveillance that Detective Trevarthen obtained, I'm going to show you 13. So it'll be marked 13, 2, 3, and 4. Do you recognize that screenshot?
yes, I do.
And what is that?
These are video surveillance clips that were obtained from the Goodwill located in Oconomowoc, and these were identified through Crystal Rasch's debit card transactions on June 11th.
And do you still have that? You still have those bank records up there, correct?
Yes,
And was this transaction in Crystal Rasch's bank records?
yes, it was.
And permission to, I would move exhibit 13 into evidence and permission to publish to the jury.
Any objection? No. To be received, can be published.
So we'll start by playing 13, which is, so if I told you that in Detective Trevarthen's reports that he found that the timestamp was incorrect in the Goodwill video, would you find that that was accurate?
Yes,
So, because throughout the course of the investigation, were we able to determine that they went to Goodwill after they went to Culver's?
yes,
So the time on the Goodwill video shows 10:26, but on the slide it indicates 11:36. Is that the accurate time?
I believe so, either 11:36 or 12:36, depending on looking at the bank records and comparison to the Goodwill.
Okay, so let's just look at those and make sure that we're correct here. So it looks like the bank records say 12:36. I just want to, and we can go back and clarify this. Are there times that bank records post at a later time than the transaction occurred?
I would say yes, that could happen.
So this video here, though, the timestamp on the video, 10:26:09, investigation shows us that they went to Goodwill in Oconomowoc after Culver's, correct?
Yes.
And this starting screen that we see, what's important, what should we be watching for here?
So in the upperish left, you'll see a silver SUV parked right to your right there. That is a Mitsubishi SUV that was currently in this still frame is being occupied by Zach and Crystal Rasch.
Okay, so we'll start playing at what's marked on the video timestamp 10:26:09. And then ending at 10:26 and 36 seconds. What did we see there in that clip?
You can see Crystal Rasch exit the passenger side of the Mitsubishi, and Zach Rasch exits the driver's side of the Mitsubishi and begin walking towards the door of the store.
And what did they appear to be wearing?
The same clothes that they were wearing in the Culver's video that was just shown.
Okay, going to the next clip, which is 13:2. What are we looking at here?
This is an interior camera of the store. The top left of the frame is the main doors for customers to come in and out of.
Okay. Yes, you can start playing. So we'll start playing at 10:26 and 9 seconds according to the video.
Right there, you can see Zach and Crystal walking to the front door and go their separate ways for the meantime.
And that video clip ends at 10:26 and 34 seconds. So now we'll go to 13:3. So this one now, according to the video timestamp, 10:46 and 34 seconds. If we can
Just
pause
walking
there.
in.
So we'll pause at 10:46 and 40 seconds. What do we see here?
On the bottom of the screen, you will see Crystal Rasch walking towards the front doors and Zach Rasch directly behind her.
Okay. We can pause this one time and maybe just zoom in. A little bit more if you can, if possible. So now can we see that sweatshirt that she's wearing?
Yes, Wisconsin Dells.
And does it look like she's wearing some type of bag?
Yes, she has a bag, appears to be draped over her left shoulder, kind of hanging by her left hip.
Okay, so we can zoom out. Start playing again according to the video's timestamp, 10:46 and 49 seconds. Pause it. So I'm pausing it there at 10:48 and 11 seconds. Zoom in. And what does it appear that Crystal Rasch is doing here?
It appears that she is the one paying for the transaction of the goods that they had purchased.
Okay, so zoom out, please. And then continue playing at 10:48 and 12 seconds. Did you skip it or did it? Oh, okay, so just, yes, please go back. Sorry, we had a, we're just gonna start at 10:48 and 54 seconds. Okay. And we'll stop that video there at 10:49 and 53 seconds. Do you watch this video more than one time?
Yes.
And when you were watching this video, did it appear that Crystal Rasch handed anything over to Zach Rasch?
Not that I saw.
And then they exited the store, correct?
Yes, they exited together.
Okay. Going on then to 13. I think we're on 13.3 now, correct? The final clip.
Yes.
13. Okay.
No,
13.4.
13.4.
Okay. So this one is the timestamp on the video is 10:50:31.
On the left side of the screen is where you'll see Zach and Crystal walking back towards the silver Mitsubishi SUV.
And then we'll just pause there and zoom in. So we're pausing at 10:50 and 55 seconds. And then where did they get in?
The back passenger door is open and it appears that Crystal Rasch goes into the back seat.
Let's see if we can play it zoomed in. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but so let's try to zoom out a little bit and play it slightly zoomed in. It's okay, just gonna play it normal and then we'll stop and. So we started it again at 10:50 and 57 seconds. Let's see, let's stop here and try to zoom in again. 10:51 and 22 seconds. Did you watch this zoomed in?
I don't believe zoomed in, but when I watch it on my player within my office, it's much larger and easier to see.
What did it appear was happening in this back seat area?
So from my review of the video, it appears that Crystal goes into the back seat, and I believe that she changes her shirt. And while this is going on, Zach is standing, basically what I believe is blocking the view from the open door from the public on the outside while she's in the back.
Okay, so we'll zoom back out and play from 10:51 and 22 seconds. Then the video ends according to the video timestamp at 10:55 and 20 seconds. And what did we observe at the very end?
At the very end there, you can see Crystal get into the front passenger seat of the Mitsubishi, and then Zach walks over to the driver's seat. They're both in the vehicle, and the vehicle leaves.
Any other surveillance video after this video of Crystal Rasch?
No.
So is this the last video surveillance video that we have of Crystal Rasch alive?
That I'm aware of.
I still have more. So now going to 14. What do we observe there? Or what is this surveillance video? I'm sorry, it's the next. We're just going.
Thank you.
This is surveillance video that was captured at the Farmers and Merchants Bank located here in Juneau from June 11th at 10:30 p.m.
And as far as we know, that timestamp is accurate, correct?
Yes.
That transaction, did that transaction show up on the Bank of Lake Mills bank record?
No, it did not.
How did you come to know about this transaction?
I was contacted by the president of the Farmers and Merchants Bank, who saw Crystal being listed as a missing person. He knew that she was a customer at their bank, and he had pulled her bank records and observed a withdrawal on her Farmers and Merchants Bank account from June 11th at 10:30 p.m. And he reviewed the videos and felt that it was important enough to contact our agency to let us know this information.
I would move 14 into evidence and then permission to publish.
Any objection?
No.
It'll be received, can be published.
We just need the, yes. we can stop that video at 22, 34, and 31 seconds. And then can we just scroll all the way to the beginning just so it's clear what time it started, please? And just so the record is clear, it started at 22, 31, and 43 seconds. On that video, what shirt is Mr. Rasch wearing?
He's wearing a black Reebok shirt,
What vehicle is he driving?
a blue Dodge Ram pickup truck.
Is there anybody else in the vehicle with him?
Not that I can see.
Can you observe him pull a card out of his wallet?
Yes,
Does he put that card back into the wallet?
it appears so.
Do you see him get a receipt for the transaction?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him get cash for the transaction?
Yes, I do.
Does it appear that he knows the PIN number for that transaction?
It appears so.
Okay. And again, that was Farmers Merchant, correct?
Yes,
That Farmers and Merchants Bank, that's here in the city of Juneau, correct?
yes, 198 Southwestern Ave.
And did you say that was the manager of that bank location?
The president and CEO of Farmers and Merchants.
And he confirmed that Crystal Rasch had an account at that bank, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to move on now to Exhibit 15. What is that exhibit?
This is a screenshot or a photo of a receipt that was generated at the Menards in Johnson's Creek on June 22nd, 2024 at approximately 5:55 p.m.
And move that into evidence. Permission to publish.
No
Okay.
objection.
Any objection to the receipt?
No.
Sorry. Will be received.
And is that receipt?
Yes.
And can you read from, I will zoom in here, the best that we can. What was purchased? Nope, we're good, right? Nope, right there.
You will see the top line showing that two 32-ounce Santeen drain cleaner was purchased for the amount of $15.98. And next you'll see that new car scent wipes were purchased in the amount of 2 of them for a total of $8.96. And then a Monster energy drink for $2.38.
And then total transaction.
$28.81.
And then what was used to purchase this?
That would be the debit card belonging to Crystal Rasch,
And then what were the last 4 digits of that card?
8942.
And this transaction shows up in those Bank of Lake Mills accounts that we referenced earlier, correct?
Yes, it does.
And then were we able to obtain video surveillance for this transaction?
Yes, we were.
And did we in fact obtain this video surveillance on June 25th? Or at least did somebody reviewed the video surveillance?
Yes.
We didn't get a physical copy of it on that date, but a detective, specifically Detective Trevarthen, had eyes on the video surveillance at Menards on June 25th.
That is correct.
And what was noteworthy from that video surveillance?
That the surveillance only shows Zach Rasch being in the store for this purchase.
Okay. And I'm going to show you Exhibit 16, 1 and 2. Oh, this is not. We're going to have to. This is wrong. Is this Johnson Creek? Oh, the receipt is Johnson Creek. Sorry.
So these are 16.
Yes, 16.
Okay.
And what is depicted on the screenshots of the video surveillance on 16:1 and 2?
You can see Zach Rasch in line at the register purchasing these items.
And is that the video surveillance also from Johnson Creek on June 22nd, 2024?
Yes, it is.
The transaction depicted in that receipt.
Yes.
So I'd move 16, 1 and 2 into evidence, permission to publish.
Any objection?
No objection.
They will be received, they can be published.
So we're starting with 16. I gotta zoom out and play it. It's okay. So the time on this 17:54. Now we're counting. What do we see in the middle of the screen here?
So in the middle of the screen, waiting to have their items scanned, is Zach Rasch with the items that are depicted on the receipt.
Can we zoom in, please? What do we see on this conveyor belt here?
I believe that those are the 32-ounce Santeen drain cleaners.
So and then this video ends at 17:56 and 25 seconds. And if we can just go, sorry, to the very front again. So I just want to mark the record when we started. So we started at 17:54 and 34 seconds. So at the very end then, there, after we zoomed out, what were we seeing for the transaction? What was Mr. Rasch doing?
It appears that he uses a card to make the purchase, and he puts the belongings into a plastic bag and begins to leave the store.
Did you see him use the pen pad at all?
It's hard to tell from back here if he was manipulating the ping pad, but I could see him swipe a card.
Okay. And then on the conveyor belt, besides the Santeen drain cleaner, did you see anything else?
Appeared that what I believe is the Monster Energy drink kind of rolling back and forth next to it.
And throughout the course of the investigation, did we learn what Mr. Rasch's drink of choice is?
Monster Energy drinks.
So I'm going to show you, go through these a little bit faster here. 17, 18 to 1, 2, and 3. So it'll be,
Just one. Okay.
and then the video surveillance here.
Thank you.
So I'm going to show you those exhibits. If you could just identify those for me. I'll get some of these out of your way here.
The exhibits that were just given to me show the receipts that was obtained from the Menards in Beaver Dam of transactions that occurred on June 23rd, 2024 at approximately 12:24 p.m. and then subsequently video surveillance of that transaction.
And move those into evidence. Permission to publish.
Any objection?
No.
They will be received and they will be published.
Oh, go back to the, oh, sorry. Yep, I cut those from, I'm sorry. I didn't, yeah, just, I apologize. Just scroll back to the receipt, please. the Beaver Dam. I'm sorry, I cut these out. So is this 17, correct?
Yes.
And that is the receipt from Beaver Dam. We'll zoom in on that. And what was purchased here?
The first item purchased is a portable air cooler in the amount of $16.99. And then 6 32-ounce Santeen drain cleaner in the total of $47.94.
And what card was used?
A card ending in 8942, which would belong to Crystal Rasch.
And remind me again the date
That is the 23rd, June 23rd of 2024.
and the time?
Is 12:24 p.m.
Do you know, did law enforcement go to Mr. Rasch's house on this date?
Yes, they did.
And what time did that happen, do you know?
I don't recall the time the officer made contact with him that day.
Okay. Do you know what shift that officer worked? Do you know what officer it was?
That would be Deputy Kukan.
Okay. And is he a first shift, second shift?
At that time, I do not recall. I know that when he did make contact with Zach Rasch that day, it was still daylight.
Okay. So we'll zoom out there and then move on to the next, to 18 there. And what are we looking at on 18?
So this is the Menards video showing the parking lot, and you can see the red Chevy Cobalt in the middle aisle. That is a Cobalt belonging to Zach Rasch.
Don't start playing please yet. So right here in the middle, correct?
Correct.
And the timestamp here on this video is 12/19/55, and I think the time on the top of this 12:24, that's the time of the transaction, correct?
Yes.
So we'll start playing here at 12/19/55. We're gonna pause this and go. Let's play it at 250, 249, 250, so it's at 12:22 and 48 seconds. And right at the very end there, 12:23 and 50 seconds, what did we observe?
You can see Zach Rasch exit the driver's side of that vehicle.
Okay. And then going on to 18:2. What do we see there at this entryway?
You can see the main doors of the entry into the Menards and Beaver Dam, and Zach Rasch about to walk through those glass doors.
So this is times seconds. And then we'll stop that at 12:24 and 39 seconds. And what kind of shirt was Mr. Rasch wearing?
He was wearing a black Carhartt shirt.
Okay, and we'll then go to the next clip, 18:3. This is at 12:34 and 40 seconds. Go ahead and start playing this. And then at the very top of the screen, what are we seeing?
You can see Zach Rasch putting the items that he is purchasing on the conveyor belt.
Let me just zoom in a little bit there, please. These bottles, what are these bottles again?
Those bottles are the 32-ounce Santine Drano.
And then that ends at 12:36 and 5 seconds. Again, in any of this video surveillance from the Menards and Beaver Dam, do we ever see Crystal Rasch?
Say that again?
The Menards surveillance and Beaver Dam on June 23rd, did we ever see Crystal Rasch?
No, we do not.
And then this transaction here, was this reflected in Crystal Rasch's Bank of Lake Mills bank card transactions?
Yes, it was.
So this is the exact order. It's going to be 19 through 62.
Okay.
All the photos. Now, set these up here. We'll get to these in a moment. After we learn of these bank card transactions and Detective Trevarthen reviews some of this video surveillance, was it ultimately determined that a search warrant was going to be executed on the Woods Road address.
Yes.
And when we executed that search warrant, did we just search it for one day or something else?
The search warrant was technically executed on June 26, 2024 in the very early morning hours. And due to the size of the scene and the abundance of items that were located on the property, we actually held that scene until July 1st, 2024.
Okay. So, jury will hear from lots of other detectives involved in that case, but were you involved in a search that took place on June 30th?
Yes.
So what day of the week was that then with respect to, I'll show you, give you a hint. I'll show you Exhibit 1.
So June 30th would have been a Sunday.
And so tell me again, we executed the search warrant was signed on what date?
I don't know if it was signed on the 25th or the very, very early morning hours of the 26th.
Okay, but we served it the early morning hours on the 26th, correct?
At approximately 12:54 a.m. on the 26th.
And then, so on the 30th, that was towards the end of us holding the scene for that time period, correct?
Yes.
So now I've handed you exhibits 19, I think it ends on 62. Can you verify that for me?
That is correct.
And if you could look through all of those pictures and confirm that you recognize all of those pictures.
Yes, these pictures are familiar to me.
And what are those pictures all of?
These are all pictures of the address at N3251 Wood Road in the town of Clyman, which is the address of where Zach Rasch resides, and the address that we had executed our search warrant at.
Okay, I would move exhibits 19 through 62 into evidence and permission to publish.
Any objection?
No.
Received, permission to publish granted.
And hopefully we're going straight. Yep. So starting with 19. And if you get the lights too here, Judge.
I will.
Should be able to see these pretty good, but just in case. What are we looking at here, 19?
This picture depicts standing at the intersection of County Highway J and Wood Road, and this photo is facing eastbound on County Highway J.
And so would this have been towards the direction of Crystal Rasch's residence or away from her residence?
Towards.
Okay. And which side of the photo would the Wood Road address be located?
On the right side.
On the right side, and directionally?
South.
South.
This is standing at that same exact intersection, but facing westbound on County Highway J.
And if you can help me too, you have the stickers there, so tell me, this is 20, correct?
That's correct.
And you said you were facing south here, or no, west?
West.
And just so it's clear, these vehicles here are those associated with individuals at the search warrant.
Correct.
21, what are we looking at here?
This is standing further back on Wood Road and looking north at County Highway J.
Okay. And then 21.
This is standing at the intersection of Wood Road and County Highway J, looking southwest, and that would be the property belonging to the Zach Rasch.
And Judge, I think now is a good time for the lights. And then if we could just zoom in a little bit here. There's going to be a burn pit that we, go up please, that we're talking about. Where approximately would this burn pit be located in this photo?
Middle left,
So
right in there.
right
but
in here.
some yards back though.
yards back, but this is if a person was standing on the roadway or passing by and trying to look directly at the burn pit, this is what they would see.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll zoom out there. We're now on 22, correct?
That was 22.
This was 22. Going to 23. What are we looking at here?
So this is standing in the driveway of Zach Rasch's property, looking to the north. And between those two vehicles is that burn pit area.
So, hold on. We have this sort of white van here, right? And then what is this here that my laser pointer is on?
It appears that it's a walkway or frequently traveled path.
Okay, and is this exactly how it looked on June 26th and then into June 30th?
Yes.
We'll go to 24 now, right? At 20, sorry, we both did it at the same time. Yes, I'll do it. Okay, so this is 23, right?
Yes.
24, what are we looking at here?
You were looking at a small tree that was in the vicinity of the burn area. And what's significant about this tree is that it's missing a lot of its lower leaves, and some of the leaves that are still attached to it appear to be significantly singed.
So hold on, sorry. So you're saying the lower leaves, so down here at the bottom, those are where you're saying the lower leaves are missing, correct?
Yes.
And then if we can zoom in to the top of this photo, tell me again the observations.
You can see numerous leaves that have browning on them that appear that they have been singed by heat.
So is this right here what you're speaking of, this sort of wilting or browning at the tips of those leaves?
Yes.
Why was that significant?
It shows that there was a significant heat source in the area of that burn
Okay.
location.
We'll zoom out again. And how, let's see if we can, go back to 23. It's hard to see where this tree exactly was located in this exhibit, but do you know approximately where it was located based on your memory?
Yeah, I would on the northern side of that burn area.
I'm going to give you this laser pointer. So I'll give the jury a little bit of a clue. I'm highly directionally challenged. So when you say north, south.
So this is the burn area that I'm referencing. This is north, and that tree is like right here.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to the next slide. I'll let you keep the laser. Oh, careful. Yeah. Now we'll go, this is 25, right?
Correct.
What are we looking at here?
This is an overview of that burn area, standing alongside that white van that was in the driveway.
That tree that we were looking at before, is it in this picture or is that out of this picture?
I believe it's right here.
Okay. And the burn pit, can we,
It's right in here.
okay. And these tires, do you see tires?
Yes.
Was that their original location, or when we first arrived on scene, were they positioned a different way, if you know?
On the 26th, I believe, if these were the 26 photos, these would have been their original location.
Okay. And what are we looking at here?
So this is coming into the driveway off of Wood Road. So you are facing westbound. And you can see the white van and the other broken down vehicles just parked off the driveway.
And then do you see some kind of rut or something in the mud?
Yeah, I do see a tire rut in the mud.
Did the sheriff's office make that, or was that there when you arrived on scene?
I don't recall.
Can you point that out, though, in this video? Okay. That black There's a black vehicle at the very top of the screen in front of that red vehicle. I just want to confirm that is a sheriff's office squad, correct?
Yes, that is a squad car parked almost in the middle of the driveway.
All the other vehicles, though, are vehicles that were on scene, correct?
Yes.
What are we looking at? What exhibit number are we at now?
Exhibit 27.
What are we looking at here?
So you're looking, you're basically standing on the burn location or very near the burn location looking north. And there is, on the north side of the burn location is a mound system. And this kind of shows the vegetation on that mound system and how secluded it is with the green brush.
So if there were no trees or greenery here, what would I be looking at?
County Road J would be north of that.
Okay. 27, correct?
That was 27.
Okay, 28.
28 is an overview of that burn location that was identified.
And is this, so the tire, now we have more other tires, right?
Yes. So the burn location, the top of the picture of this is north. If you guys remember, there was a white little metal shed in the photo. That is directly to the left of this photo. And I would say you're almost basically standing right behind that white van.
And what exhibit number are we on?
Exhibit 29.
And what are we looking at here?
This is an overview of a bone that was located in that burn area.
Okay, so you say a bone. Can you use your laser pointer to see what we would be looking at?
Right there.
And was this located?
He's lazy, almost dead center of
This little gray area.
Did we locate this on the 26th,
No,
27th,
no,
28th,
no,
29th?
no.
So on June 30th.
Correct.
Okay. And I just want to be clear, I'm going to go back here to this. This is Exhibit 28, correct?
Yes.
So this burn pit here had the crime lab and detectives from the sheriff's office removed dirt and debris off the top of this pile at this point.
Yes, before this picture was taken.
Okay. And we'll have more testimony later about that, but I just want to be clear that debris had been, this is not how it originally appeared when we arrived on scene on the 26th.
That is correct.
So this is after the burn pit had been processed a couple of times.
It's slightly processed.
So I guess debris removed off the top when I say processed.
Yes.
So we talked about this photo 29, and now we are on 30. What are we looking at here?
Now you are looking up at a close-up photo of that bone that was located within that burn area.
Okay. And what is this here?
That is another angle of that same bone that was located.
And do you know exactly what bone this is?
I was on scene when this was located, and Dr. Karsten had informed me that this was the Petrus pyramid bone, which is a human bone, and he knew immediately that it was human.
As we go through and look at everything else, do you know what the other bones in all of these pictures are?
No.
This one was significant, right?
Yes.
We have a lot more to go through here. Moving on to 32. I think what are we looking at here?
So this is a photo showing the overview or a partial overview of the burn location, we had gridded it off so that we could identify locations where additional remains were found. There's some rope in basically 4 squares within that burned area to identify the remains that are found.
And when you say gridded off, what is that? Can you use your laser pointer to show where those are?
It's hard to see back here on this glare. Now I can see. You'll see,
So zoom out a little bit here. Zoom out now.
you will see a pink line that is in one large square, and within that square we have 4 quadrants located, and each quadrant would be listed with a number so that we could identify where each specific remain was located.
Okay. And then this next exhibit, what exhibit number are we looking at?
That one is exhibit number 33.
And this is another view of that gridded off area, correct?
Yes.
34.
It's a closer up in one of the quadrants.
And do we see anything significant in this quadrant?
Not at this time.
And then this 35.
Nothing significant here except you can kind of see some more leaves showing some browning and singeing.
In the lower right-hand corner of this, what are we looking at? What is this?
It's like I believe like a wood pallet that was on the ground.
Okay. And that marks sort of the edge of this dig area, essentially, correct?
Correct.
And 36, again, another point of view of this gridded area that's marking the edge of this dig area, and then you can see those tires again, correct?
Affirmative.
And then 37, another viewpoint of this dig area just from another angle. Where that mound system that we were talking about before, where is that in location to these photos?
It's me to the left.
Okay, so
So right now you're facing east, and that mound would be on the left or north.
that one tire that we see in the top left-hand corner, that's sort of the start of that mound system. Is that accurate?
I would say that's a fair representation.
And the shed would be sort of at the bottom of this picture. Is that right?
The shed would be almost directly behind where the camera person is.
Okay. And then 38.
This signifies the numbers of each quadrant that was provided. As you'll see in the top left, it shows quadrant number 1, top right, quadrant 2, bottom left, quadrant 3, and then you can't see the number symbol for quadrant 4.
And then if you can just have me zoom in just a little bit on that vegetation next to 1. Is that the same tree we were looking at before or different?
I believe that is a different tree.
But what are we seeing there?
Some more singeing and browning of the leaves.
Okay. 39.
So this one does show quadrant 4 of where that is, and then also some more leaves being browned and singed.
And this roping off or quadrant, this would be on the outside of what the actual burn pit though was, right?
Yeah, it would have been extended slightly past where we had the expected burn area, so we could recover as much as we could.
I mean, it seems obvious, but if the burn pit was beyond the roped off area, those trees would have been consumed, but they're singed, correct?
You would presume.
What are we looking at here in 40?
So this is in correlation with the quadrants. You will see that we have 4 sifting stations. What we use for these sifting stations is people that were assigned to do the excavation of the burn area. We would put small amounts of the dirt and things that were found in little buckets, and each quadrant would have a representation for each sifter. So people would come over with their buckets. People would be volunteering and sifting through the process of each one of those quadrants, and any type of debris that was of potential concern that we believe may have been human remains or other type of evidence, we would immediately notify the medical examiner or Dr. Karsten so he could examine them.
Who were our sifters?
I was a sifter. There was numerous other sifters. We had help from the medical examiner's office with deputy medical examiners on scene. Dr. Karsten also had brought associates of his to the scene who are experienced in digging and archaeological findings.
And so am I just to understand that we basically are bringing big buckets of dirt and fire debris basically to this area and moving that back in a back and forth motion and then picking out what could be bone. Is
Correct.
that accurate? 41.
So 41 represents a piece of evidence listed as number 16 by the crime lab. And this is just an overview, and that appears to be in quadrant 2.
42?
This one is closer up, and this is of that Petrus pyramid.
Okay. And then 43.
Shows evidence number 19 in quadrant number 4. This shows a close-up of potential human remains that were located.
And can you just use your laser pointer to show what that is? What they're pointing out there? If you can recall.
It is hard for me to discern in this photo.
Right there, if I'm correct, but somewhere in this photo anyway.
Yes.
And to be fair, the anthropologist was there putting the numbers and telling them where to take photos, and you were the primary law enforcement officer present, correct?
Yes, whenever somebody located something of significance, he would immediately be contacted to examine them, and he would let us know if that was human remains or not.
Correction, spoiler. We'll go to the next one, then we'll come back and look at this. 19. I believe, now looking at this, can you tell what this is here?
It is potential human remains, but what part of the body, I do not know.
Okay. 21.
This shows evidence number 21 marker in quadrant number 4. This is a closer up of that evidence, which was actually identified as a human tooth, which is right. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Did you want me to go back?
I can point that one out.
We'll go back to 21, and if you could show, thank you.
Right there's the tooth.
With lasing in an area right near the 21 marker towards the bottom right of the marker.
And then 48, what are we looking at here?
That is another angle of that tooth.
So that would, and that's underneath the tooth, is that removed onto another surface, basically. It looks like it's on a tarp, right? It's been removed from the dirt.
Yes.
And 49,
And that is another angle of that tooth.
50.
In this photo, you're seeing 2 evidence markers, one evidence number 20 in quadrant number 2, and then evidence number 22 in quadrant number 4.
This bucket here too that we see, I think we see 2 of those buckets. Is that where the dirt would go into to be carried over to the sifting?
That is correct.
So each quadrant would have its own bucket.
That is correct.
And 22,
This is a close-up of the potential human remains that were removed from that quadrant.
I'm sorry, that was exhibit 51, but crime lab evidence marker 22, just so the record is clear. And then now we're moving on to 52, exhibit 52. What are we looking at here?
So this shows evidence marker 30 in quadrant number 4.
And the progress here on the surface, can you describe the difference in the surface now?
So now you're getting to a softer surface. The people that were doing the excavation were very meticulous and digging very slowly so that they would not miss anything. And we are trying to identify the potential human remains before having to put them in a bucket to take to a sifter. So they were going through very meticulously to try to find them directly in that pit.
During this search, though, we did not extend this perimeter of this search area, though, correct?
Correct.
53.
This shows evidence marker number 30 and another potential human remain, which is right here.
And that's just, can you describe where you're pointing?
So on the right, almost in the middle of that marker on the right side, it's a kind of a taller, skinnier object.
So between the pink perimeter line and the crime lab marker 30, correct?
Yes.
Now we're going to 54. What do we see here?
This shows that potential piece of human remains.
30, Exhibit 51, evidence marker, Exhibit 55, evidence marker 31.
More potential human remains.
Evidence number 56, crime lab marker 33.
More potential human remains.
So we don't have these markers in the dirt, correct? So are these things likely that were found during the sifting?
Correct.
57,
That is more potential human remains.
58,
More potential human remains.
59,
More potential human remains.
and this is marker crime lab number 38 too. We're going through, these are all marked with crime lab numbers in this search, correct?
Yes.
60,
More potential human remains.
crime lab number 39, correct?
Yes.
61,
And this shows the overview after the burn area was excavated.
and basically just how deep we went, correct?
Yes.
And 62, again, marking the perimeter there, correct, showing we didn't go beyond that perimeter, just foreshadowing that'll be important later, correct?
Yes. I
And
mean, you can see some slight ground disturbance in this area. But yes, as for this search, the main searching was within that gridded area.
okay, and I do not have any other questions for direct.
Just 1 second, please. Good I think it's morning still. Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning.
I just want to direct your attention to some of the testimony you provided prior to the exhibits, I believe 19 through 62, some of the earlier testimony, okay? You had testified in regards to the receipts and the videos that you obtained from the Culver's location and the Goodwill location. You remember that?
So I did not receive the Culver's video. That was received by somebody else, but I had reviewed them. I don't, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, you reviewed both of those?
Yes.
Okay. And so in terms, let's go with the first one. That was the Culver's location in Oconomowoc,
Yes.
and that was a video from June 11th of 2024.
Yes.
Okay. And that video indicated that they arrived at some point in the morning around 10:30 a.m. or so?
With the timestamp that I believe was inaccurate on the video, I can't discern exactly what time it would have been, but the video does show 10:26 a.m., I believe.
And you were able to observe that video, and it looked like it was from a position behind the registers?
Yes.
Okay. And in that video, you saw both of them get drink cups,
Yes.
and then they went and got their drinks.
Yes.
Okay. It didn't look from that video like they ordered any food.
I don't know.
Okay.
If they ordered just drinks or food, I don't know.
Sure. And in that video, you remember that it looked like Mr. Rasch is the one who paid for that bill.
It did appear so.
And that was not a transaction that you noted on the bank records that you obtained for Crystal Rasch from the Bank of Lake Mills.
That is correct.
Okay. And it looked like they were inside of the Culvers for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. And during that video, you didn't observe any kind of unusual behavior between the two individuals.
No, sir.
Okay. So next we have the next stop on that day of June 11th, and that was at the Goodwill in Oconomowoc?
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree that the total amount of time that they were inside of the Goodwill was about 20 to 30 minutes?
I would say sub 30 minutes.
Okay. And in that video, we had, I guess, multiple camera recordings that were preserved.
Yes.
And there was the video from outside of the Goodwill, and then there was the video from inside the store.
Yes.
Okay. And during that time that they were in that store for sub 30 minutes, the individuals, Mr. Rasch and Crystal Rasch, they weren't always together.
Correct.
She was shopping independently at various points.
From when they first arrived and went their separate ways, I don't know if they reconvened when they're outside of the frame or not, because I didn't have that angle.
Okay. But you'd say it would be a fair statement that he wasn't inside of the store controlling her movements.
I did not see that.
Okay. And then at the end of after she made her purchase, they went back out to the parking lot to the Mitsubishi.
Yes.
Okay. And then you observed what I think in your belief was he was standing outside of an open back door of the vehicle.
Yes, back passenger side.
Okay. And it appeared that she was changing her shirt and he was blocking the public view of her changing her clothes.
That's what it looked like to me.
And you would agree that at no point in that video either did you see anything unusual in terms of any kind of malicious behavior that Mr. Rasch was engaging in?
I would agree with that.
And it was your prior testimony that the video that you have from the Goodwill in Oconomowoc was the last video recording of Crystal Rasch that was obtained during this investigation?
That I'm aware of.
Nothing further.
Very good. All right, you can step down. Folks, that brings us to lunch. Your lunch is here, so we will take a hour break. Again, I remind you, you cannot discuss the case, even though now you've heard some evidence. You need to wait until the final deliberations. So at that point, you'll have heard all the testimony and the court will have instructed you on the law. Have a nice break.